Here is why some apprentices get a job faster than others. Guys, one of the reasons why a lot of apprentices, aircraft maintenance engineer apprentices get a job faster than other graduates is, the first reason is because they start applying for a job right before graduating. Guys, like I've said hundreds of my videos, this is one of the biggest mistakes I made personally starting off my career. And this is something I usually advise people that reach out to me for some kind of advice, right? I always advise you, please 2 months, 3 months before graduation, if you're really sure you're gonna graduate accreditation, please, you want to start looking for a job ahead of time. Guys, the job market, yes, there's a lot of opportunity, but it's also competitive, right? You have to be able to stand up. For me, my best saying is, how can I stand out from others, right? You have to be able to showcase yourself and stand out from others. You can't do what everybody is doing, right? You are graduating with hundreds of apprentices. You got to find a way to stand out. And one of the best ways to stand out is start looking for a job opportunity before graduating. Guys, there's a lot of companies that actually have this type of conference or some type of meeting or some type of, I forgot what they call them, but like they come together and they have like a meeting whereby they invite apprentices who are in school. It's like a conference, right? And you can actually go there and talk to directed man. I've talked to apprentices that actually got opportunities from there, right? They go to that kind of conference and they talk to the director of maintenance for that company, and once they graduate, they send their resume to that person and they get a job, right? That is the first easiest way to get a job, and this is something I preach personally. Guys, you got to put yourself out there. You got to showcase yourself, and one of the best ways to showcase yourself is by showcasing yourself right before graduation. You don't want to wait to when you graduate, now you start building your resume or you start looking for a job. It's not going to be easy, because now you're in a pool of hundreds of 300s of apprentices graduating at the same time, right? Now you got to it's gonna be way more harder to start looking for a job then, but right before you graduate, if you start reaching out to companies, you start pushing yourself out there, it's gonna be easier for you to get a job right after graduation. All right, the second way to stand out apart from other apprentices is by reaching out for help. Guys, this is probably the first thing that will get you a job as fast as possible. I stated in one of my last videos, like mentorship. I always recommend people to reach out for mentorship. It does not have to be me, it could be any type of licensed person, and that is because you don't know what's gonna get you a job. A lot of companies, I've said it a lot of times, a lot of companies usually post internally first before they start posting online. So they reach out to people that are in the company first before they start posting job online, right? And imagine if you have a mentor in that company, right? You're going to get a job way more faster, right? And you got to start reaching out for help. You can't do it alone, guys. If I didn't have the mentality when I graduated from school, like I told you guys, right? When I graduated from school, it took me 3 months before I could get a job, right? And the first job I ever got was I reached out to one of my professors. I told him like, hey, I'm not getting a job after graduation. He told me to send me his resume. He told me some stuff to change on my resume, which I did. He told me to, instead of applying online, I should go in person. Guys, that's how I got my first job. You know what I'm saying? Because I listened to somebody who gave me an advice, where I reached out to him. I reached out for help, right? You can just sit down at home, just sitting down and just expecting you to get a job. It's not going to work like that. You got to reach out for help if you're not getting the results you're looking for. You know what I mean? And this is something I can help you out with. I have helped apprentices to build their resume to make it as professional as possible. I have helped apprentices with interview questions. I have helped apprentices with job application. I have helped apprentices with course examination. So if you're an apprentice that need that type of help, like I said, it's something I can help you out with. Click the link in the description and book a consultation. All right. So reaching out for help is one of the things I usually recommend before graduation. One of the things I usually recommend before graduation or even after graduation. The last thing I'm going to talk about is some apprentices are hoping to work anywhere, right? And this is just, I'm going to be honest with you guys. If you're an apprentice right now and you just want to work in one province or in one city specifically, I'm gonna be really honest with you. You probably not gonna get a job in the next 4 or 5 months, and that's just reality. Unless if you have some type of references, or unless if you have some type of connection, it's not gonna be easy, buddy. And that's just me being honest. I'm not trying to scare you guys, but that's just the reality, guys. As an apprentice who just graduated with no experience, I've said a lot of times, you cannot limit yourself to one location. And the reason why a lot of apprentices get a job faster is because they are ready to relocate to any position, anywhere, and even with that, some apprentices are ready to relocate and they're still finding it hard to get a job, and that's just how the market is. The market is mostly looking for licensed people, not apprentices. The shortage is for licensed people, right? And that is why there's opportunities for licensed people, but it's not as much as there's opportunity for apprentices, but it's not as much as for licensed people, right? You know what I mean? That is why I tell people, right, apprentice, yes, there's job opportunity, but it's gonna be harder. Even with me helping you, it's not something that's gonna happen in 1-2 weeks. It's gonna take time, and that is because it depends on the demand. If companies are not hiring, how can I get you a job? And that's just the reality. And people that I help, I tell them the reality. I'm gonna make the process faster, with the connection I have, with the emails I have, with the way I'm gonna design your resume, the way I'm gonna prep you for interview. But at the end of the day, I don't make the decision. There are people that I'm helping with right now. I swear to God, I pitch out their resume. I pitch out 5 guys' resumes to a company, right? They hire 2 people out of those 5 guys. I don't know the exact reason why, but that's just the reality, right? But I can make that process a little bit faster with the connections and the experience I have built, right? I can make your resume attractive. But I'm showing you guys, people that are still ready to relocate to any location are still finding some type of difficulties. Now imagine yourself who just want to work in one city. Imagine how hard it is, but those are the sacrifices we all had to make. I guarantee you can talk to hundreds of licensed people right now. 80 of them will tell them they got their first job in the city that they want to live, or the city they're not from. That's just the reality. We all have to make a sacrifice, and once you get your license, you get your ACA, it's gonna be easier. All right, this is my 3 advice I usually tell apprentices. So if you're an apprentice right now and you're finding difficulties getting a job, and you feel like you're making one of these mistake, please think of it, man. You gotta switch it up. My goal for you is to help you guys, but you also gotta have the mentality to help yourself. All right, so if you're an apprentice right now who just graduated from school, or about to graduate, and you need someone to help you out to build your resume, to make your resume, to showcase your resume in a really, really attractive way, so that way I can highlight your skills, the skills that will be attractive to employers. That way your job application can be a little bit faster. I can also help you out when it comes to interview, to show you some common questions being asked on the interview. If you're that type of apprentice that need that type of help, click the link in the description and book a consultation, and let me see how I can help you. All right, for you guys that are new to my channel, my name is Peter. I am a licensed aircraft maintenance engineer, and I help aircraft maintenance engineer apprentices with resume building, with interview, and also with cars examination. So if you're that type of apprentice that need that type of help, click the link in the description and book a consultation, and let me see how I can help you. All right, for you guys that are new to my channel, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Love you guys.